What's up, brothers and sisters? I want to welcome you guys to Listener Feedback, episode number 41. And in this episode will be starring the OG, Mr. Cody Clark. Shout out to you, brother, for the emails. It is greatly appreciated. And also chiming in this week is Mr. Crimson Phoenix. Thank you as well, my brother, for writing in with your emails. Now, as always, if you, the listener, want to be a part of the next listener feedback episode, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in, and the phone number is 443-627-9087 to let your voice literally be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is simply the name of the show. It is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. So without further ado, I'm going to take these emails in the order that I received them, starting with the good brother, Mr. Cody Clark, who says, let me see, here it is. Hold on, here we go. All right. Now, the name of his email is "The Video Game Industry is in Crisis" with Jason Schreier. He says, I didn't expect Adam Conover to do a video on this topic, something to try to watch. Now, you actually sent me a YouTube video. Let me see.
You know, I've played video games.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So if you do want to check this out, you can actually go over to Adam Conover. His YouTube channel is spelled AdamConover to check it out. It was a very interesting conversation with Jason Schreier. I didn't listen to the whole thing, Cody Clark. I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing, but I believe one of the things they were mentioning was talking about these. Matter of fact, shout out to you, Cody, because they brought up not just Warcraft, but they brought up the successor to that game, that EverQuest. They brought up EverQuest, talking about how much better the games were when the developers were in charge of doing everything before they got the suits involved and the numbers people and all of these other guys that had nothing to do with the actual development of the game. They were just talking, Jason Schreier and Conover, they were just talking about how much smoother, how much better the games were back then, you know, when these guys who were in the driver's seat were the developers, not the CFOs or the guys that are handling the money or talking about the time frames and all of that stuff. It just seemed like it was a much better situation. And now today we see that it's all about the money. We just saw, shout out to you again, Cody Clark, for sending that email in about the studio being shut down, Firewalk Studios being shut down by Sony. They had a bad flop. Don't get me wrong. That was past a flop. That might have been the worst flopping game in history next to E.T. 200 to 400 million allegedly lost off of that deal. Like I was mentioning in the podcast, man, the regular weekly podcast, somebody's head had to roll for something like that. So it's an unfortunate situation. But again, I would recommend that you guys check this video out. It was very interesting. Like I said, shout out to you, Cody. I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing or watch the whole thing, but it was certain things that did stick out, and that was one of those things. And they were talking about, you should pretty much support the indie developer. They're the guys that are bringing innovation, to the space, and just get out there and support them. And I would recommend supporting them as well. There are a couple of indie games that I thoroughly enjoyed. To the utmost. The Ascent being one of them, another one being Inside. I keep naming the same ones over and over again, so I'm not going to name them again. But yes, definitely some great games out there, great content, and great innovation going on in the indie space. But thank you for this email, Cody. Now, you sent me another, email that was titled Pal World Lawsuit Take by Pirate Software. You write, interesting take on the Nintendo Pokeball capture patent lawsuit. Let's see what this is real quick.
Is suing
Hold on, let me try to put it.
And they're doing it
Hold
not
on.
on the basis of copyright. So calm down, Nintendo, Pokemon, shills. Calm. It is not time for that. There's nothing to...
All right,
the pals. Nothing. They patented the mechanic of the Pokeball a while back for Legend of Arceus. Specifically...
All right, now hold on. Before I finish this, because I don't want to play this whole gentleman's video, because that would be a disservice to him. But the name of the gentleman, his YouTube channel is Pirate Software, and the title of his video is Pal World Lawsuit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewind it again, just so we can get some context here of what's going on.
Nintendo is suing Pocket Pair, which is the company that makes Pal World. And they're doing it not on the basis of copyright. So calm down, Nintendo, Pokemon, shills. Calm. It is not time for that. It has nothing to do with the looks of the pals. Nothing. They patented the mechanic of the Pokeball a while back for Legend of Arceus. Specifically, throwing a ball or an object at a monster in a 3D space. Like, I'm going to patent the ability to throw an object at a monster using a stick and a button press to catch that monster. That's patented. You can't use that in any video game forever now. WASD is mine now, gamers. Your move.
So listen, if you do want to finish listening to that again, the brother's YouTube channel is Pirate Software. It's Pal World. It's under the title Pal World Lawsuit. Yeah, Cody, this was interesting to hear that they're really suing him over the mechanic. Over a mechanic of the Pokeball. Very, very interesting. Not the look of the Pokemon. Well, the Pal World characters, or as they call them, the Pals. Because I've never played Pal World, to be fair, Cody. But not that they're suing him over that, but a mechanic. That, you know what that does, Cody? That reminds me of, it's a game out there. We all know this game. Oh, crap. It's by WB. They have a patent where, oh my goodness, nobody else can use this patent but them. It's a patent where you actually see the enemy. They recognize you and they know who you are. As the game goes on, you guys keep meeting each other again and again. Hold on. What is the name of that? Hold on. What is the name of the mechanic WB Games has? That was terrible. Nemesis system. That's what it is. The Nemesis system. So this reminds me of that kind of situation where nobody else can use that Nemesis system but WB Games. And, it's interesting that if somebody else came out with something similar to the Nemesis system, who knows, they may be on the hook and get sued for pretty much a mechanic in a game. So it is very, very, very interesting that this is the case. But, Cody, I greatly appreciated this. Again, it cleaned up some things that people like myself may have thought Nintendo was suing about, but they weren't. I thought it was the look of the game. But no, it is a mechanic. That is so wild, though. A mechanic. You can patent a mechanic in a video game. Unbelievable. I am very, very interested, though, Cody, to see how this whole situation turns out, because I am just sitting here like, man, who would have thought? Nintendo wasn't being, I will give Nintendo some credit. They weren't being as petty as I thought they were. But wow, to sue over a mechanic in a game. Oh man. Hey, it is what it is. If Nintendo patented, Cody, and you can't use it, or you're going to run into some of these legal situations that are happening right now, with these guys over at Pal World. So we'll see what happens with this. But Cody, I appreciated these emails, my brother. I'm not done with you, but as I said, I'm going to just take the emails in the order that they were given to me in. So I'm going to move on to Brother Crimson Fent. Man, here you go, brother. Look at this. Look at this soliloquy this brother just wrote me. World in Peace, part 2. Doggone War and Peace. Whatever the heck that big, thick novel is. God dog it, man. Crimson, man, golly, man. I like you, brother. So I'm going to read this. But goodness, how many paragraphs do we have here? It's 50 of them. All right, man, here we go, Crimson. Now, the brother did lead his email by saying, sorry, lied to say, man, you competing with the brother Cody Clark. God, dog, man. Goodness gracious, man. All right, here we go. I'm going to read this, brother. He says, you don't have to like Xbox games. You don't have to like their services, i.e. Game Pass, and you don't have to like the fact that their games aren't exclusively on that console. Brother, I can't stand it. Man, Crimson, I can't stand. That is the part that really hurts my gaming heart, brother. It hurts my gaming soul that these games are not exclusive to their console. But I digress. I'm going to continue on. He says, why should any of that concern anyone? If all of you can still purchase and play them like you always could, choice isn't such a bad thing, is it? It's the way that they're doing it, though. It's the way they're doing it, Crimson. No, it is nothing wrong with them making it so you can purchase the games, or you can have them in Game Pass, or you can take them in the cloud. All of the options are good, but it is just the execution of how they're doing it. It seems like all right, I'll continue with your email because you might touch on it as we go forward. You continue. He says, I say all this to say PlayStation's exclusivity window is shrinking. You ain't lying. Now that's a doggone good point, because Spider-Man 2 came out in like October of last year. It's going to be on PC in January. Last I checked, that's less than 2 years of a window. So I will absolutely give you that. Their window is shrinking. He continues and says, I and many others have said, including Sony, the PlayStation player base is too small to support the brand and future products, and therefore have to release on PC. Mark my words, PlayStation will release their games, i.e. Spider-Man, day and date, rather sooner than later. Now to that, Cody, pardon me, I'm sorry. Pardon me about that. To that, Crimson Phoenix, I will agree. I think that eventually that does happen. I don't know, man. That's tough, because Sony knows this is the difference. Sony, with the PlayStation brand, they know that is their breadwinner. If Sony's PlayStation brand goes down, that company takes a huge hit. It is nowhere close to what Microsoft has going on. The Xbox brand goes away or isn't as profitable, man, let's sweep that under the rug and keep moving like nothing happened. Last I checked, I think the Xbox makes up like 3% of what they make as a company. 3%. PlayStation, on the other hand, with Sony, man, that thing is making a ton more money. We'll look up that number in just a minute, but let me continue on. The thing is, though, just to go back for a minute, they can't afford to do that. I don't think, Crimson Phoenix. They can't afford to put their games day and date on PC, because they know if that console goes away, if they give people less of a reason to buy that console, the PlayStation, then they are going to be hurting big time financially. So I don't think that's going to happen. Again, I will give it to you, brother, with that window shrinking 100%. I'll give that to you. But day and date on PC, I don't know if they go that far. But let me continue on with your email. It's a good email, by the way. He says, is that such a bad thing? Let me say that again. Is that such a bad thing? It'll help fund their future projects and give players choice, including helping the prices of the games stay competitive. You can still play your favorite games, just in more places. Again, it's nothing wrong with them doing it, Crimson Phoenix, putting games in different places. My only concern is when it seems like you're putting more of an emphasis on other places to play your games versus pushing and continuing to push your console. We've seen it time and time again with Xbox, which is why I can't stand the way they do it. They tell people, Crimson Phoenix, they tell us no console required. It's like a slap in the face, in my opinion, to someone that goes out there and spends $300 to $500 on your product. And you tell other people pretty much, oh man, you don't need that thing. Just get this Fire Stick and you can play it on that, or get your phone and you can play it on that. It's like they're just downgrading the console itself. It's like they just have no respect for the console. So much so, you remember at one point in time, Crimson, they were releasing exclusive PC games. And every game that went on Xbox was on PC day one. But we couldn't say the same thing about PC games being on Xbox day one. That happened a lot of times. So it's like they just continue to diminish and just basically just crap all over their console and their console player base. That's why I don't like it. I don't like the way they do it, Crimson Phoenix, because it just seems like they're not giving the console the respect, or the console player base the respect that they deserve. But let me finish on with your email, brother. It says, if you remember, PlayStation is against backwards and forwards compatibility. They reluctantly had to add PS4 BC to the PS5 after its release and started charging for that was whack. Started charging for upgrades to those games and was the first to charge $70 for their games, all due to ballooning costs of development. Brother, I do not know how this started. The PlayStation was the first one to charge $70. Now, you know me, brother. You know me, Crimson. I will look it up. You might be right, but the first developer / publisher that I remember to charge $70, the first one out the gate was NBA 2K, whatever that was, which falls up under, of course, not 2K, not Rockstar. They're all under the same, Take-Two. They fall under Take-Two. Take-Two, I believe, was the first one to go out there and charge $70 for a game. I don't think it was PlayStation, but I'll look it up, brother. You know, I'll look it up before we finish to double check that. But let me see, what else were you saying? Yeah, they may have been. Were they against backwards compatibility though, Crimson, out of the gate? I don't recall them necessarily being against it. I don't know, but I will say, to your point, you got a fantastic point by them actually charging that $10, for certain. Well, hold on. Now, when they charged that $10 though, let me make sure I'm reading this right. You said, if you remember, PlayStation is against backwards. Well, PlayStation is against backwards and forward compatibility. They reluctantly added. Released, started charging for up. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah. You're absolutely right. They started charging for the upgrades to those, to that version of the game, whereas Xbox did not. And Xbox was fantastic for doing that. I think that was the best move they could have ever done. You remember at one point in time under, not Herman Hulse, Jim Ryan, he had said at one point in time, okay, we're going to give it to you for free. But then he backpedaled and said, nah, we got to charge you the $10. That was a whack business practice. I agree. Xbox through and through is way better at that because they give you the upgraded version free of charge. You don't have to pay for it. So I can't be mad at them for that. PlayStation, yeah, you can definitely make a case that is a bogus, that's a bogus practice, and it shouldn't be, but unfortunately it is. I don't like it. At the same time, no, Crimson, I saw that Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. Oh man, I can't help myself. I'm gonna pull the trigger.
Move this man!
I'ma pull the trigger on it, Crimson. I'm sorry. I can't help it, man. They did some work on that thing. It looks good, brother, but I am not. I guess, who am I kidding? I guess I am aiding and abetting when it comes to this $10 situation. It's wrong, though. It really is wrong. But they did do work, though, Crimson. They put the work in. I always believed that you should get paid for your work. If you put the work in and you did 10 extra hours of mocap or a line reading or whatever they did, I mean, they put the work in, man. They gonna get my $10, Crimson, but I'm gonna continue on with your email. But again, I don't think they were the first to charge $70. But let me move on with your email. It continues. He says, the used market has been hurting the industry for years. Absolutely, brother. 100%. Oh my gracious. He says the used market has been hurting the industry for years. At least my subscription pays them something. A lot of the games I'll never play again. I'm fine not owning those, and the ones I do, I buy digitally, ensuring the devs gets paid. I have bought a single physical game since MCC and haven't bought a used game ever. Shout out to you, brother, for that. For real. Supporting the industry wholeheartedly, 100%. I haven't bought a used game and I don't know how long either, Crimson. So shout out to you for that, good brother. Most definitely. Like you said, your subscription is paying them something, so that is a plus. So most certainly. Again, let me finish up with your email. It says, until next time I write, peace. P.S. You can keep that other number active if you just call it yourself every so often. Just saying. Let me tell you something, man. I started doing that too. When I read this email, because this email is a couple of weeks old, I started doing that and I haven't been getting those messages saying, hey, but take the phone number away, for inactivity. So shout out to you for that too, Crimson. It's been definitely working out very, very fine thus far. Call it maybe 2 times a day just to make sure, leave a couple of voice messages or whatever, just to keep it active. And yeah, you are absolutely right. It works. Let me continue on. He says PSS. In exams this week, then I'm moving on to AWS testing site. Whoa, to get my cert. Wish me luck. Man, the circle wishes you nothing but the best luck on that, my brother. Shout out to you. Now I got another one here from Crimson, which is labeled part 2. Oh, this brother, man, this brother about to do a franchise on me right now with emails, man. Oh man, shout out to you, bro. He said this is part 2. This one is much shorter too. He says, and by the way, hey Crimson, it's all jokes, brother. You write in as much as you want to, brother. It is fine, man. I was just joking. You and Cody, y'all just, y'all write, y'all get into it, and y'all get into a lot of detail. So I want you to know I really appreciate both of you guys when y'all write in, whether it's long, the email that is, whether it's long or short. I always appreciate you guys writing in because you don't have to. You're taking time out of your day to do that. So I want you to know, both of you guys, Crimson and Cody Clark, I greatly appreciate it when you guys write in. So shout out to y'all for that. It's just jokes, brothers. It's just jokes. But let me move on to your next email, though, which is, again, titled Part 2. He says, what's worse, having a game, whether or not day and date, be on Game Pass and still have it release and be purchasable everywhere, i.e. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and PC, or have a platform. Hold on. Let me see if I can read that right. Or have a platform. I'll use Sony in this case because they've always done this. They buy exclusivity, whether it's timed or not. It can only sell on their console. Which scenario still sells the most copies? I know, but do you? Do you really think that PlayStation is giving them a substantial increase in funds over Game Pass deals? They've been doing this for years, and now these devs are realizing that it's not lucrative to accept Sony's bag and more. I don't think your arguments last week were sound, and you still haven't made it make sense. I await your rebuttal. Peace. Oh man, you know what, Crimson? I don't know if I wasn't sound, but if I wasn't sound and didn't explain it last week, hopefully this week, going off of this email, maybe I can do a better job. Now, like you said, what's worse, having a game, whether or not day and date, be on Game Pass and still have it released and be purchasable everywhere, i.e. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and PC, or have a platform, pretty much like Sony, where they buy exclusivity, whether it's timed or not. This is the thing. Now, when that happens, it's for the brand. That's what makes it so good, Crimson Phoenix. It's for the brand. Now, it makes the brand look stronger. It brings people in. If I can only play this one game on this platform, then I'm going to go get that platform. But if you give me the option to be able to play it any and everywhere, I just might skip your brand. Because the game, I might be extremely interested in that game, but I don't like your platform per se. So if you tell me that I can get that same game on a different platform and it's the same game, I'm going to go for that. Man, let me take this phone call. Hold on. As always, man, Unprofessional Productions. Pardon me. Had to take that, though. But getting back to your email, though, here, Crimson. Yeah, if you're giving me the choice to go other places to get these games, I'm going to go there. And that's what I'm saying. It makes the brand, it makes sure that it's going to stay around for a while. So if it's a brand that you enjoy, you love, that you absolutely just love the ecosystem and you don't want to go outside of that. And they make it so, well, you can go anywhere to get it. It's like Nintendo letting a Super Mario game go everywhere. It's on PC. It's on the cloud. It's on Xbox. It's on PlayStation. Why would you go get a Nintendo Switch or whatever Nintendo console, anything, if you can get that game any and everywhere? Where it's highly, you can get it. Now, granted, those exclusives outside of that, I don't know how much PlayStation is paying these guys, because like I was talking about in the episode, this week's episode of the podcast, it was something desert game that they tried to lock it down and they were like, nah, we're good. We don't need those splits or whatever you're offering. We're good. We'll take our chances and self-publish and do it our way. So, to your point though, companies are starting to realize that they don't need to go with Sony to do this. They can, do this kind of on their own to a certain degree. If they're in that position, not every developer is going to be able to do that. But that's the problem that I have with it per se. I want the Xbox brand to be around. I want them to compete. It's about competition at the end of the day as well. You got a dope exclusive. I can only get it on your platform. Fine, I'm going to get it on your platform. I may not like your platform, but because you have this game that I want to play, I'm going to get it over there. And then when you do look at some of these games that are on multiple consoles, they still don't sell well. It's terrible. It goes back to the point that you made, Crimson, about the used games market out here really hurting sales. For sure. It's definitely a factor. But that's why I I don't think it's a good practice. I think all of these consoles should have exclusives because that drives the market. I mean, if we haven't learned anything from Nintendo, these jokers are underpowered. They ain't drinking milk. They ain't working out. They ain't got no muscles. I mean, their consoles are flat when it comes to graphics, but those jokers sell. Man, they can sell some games. They got one of the best attach rates, I think, out of the three. Their attachment rate is ridiculous. So I don't think you get that if they're letting all of their games go everywhere else. That's all I'm saying, Crimson, is that, yeah, the scenario is cool to have the games all over the place and you're able to play and it's all, oh man, it's free love when it comes to gaming. It's just free. You just get to get it any and everywhere you want to get it. Feel free to buy it wherever. But to me, it always hurts a brand when you're doing that. If they were to release Spider-Man on Xbox, it on, I mean, probably won't be able to handle it, but if they could on a Nintendo console, how many people would actually be picking up a PlayStation right now, Crimson? If you have that option to get Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West on an Xbox versus, or on the cloud, or, you know, of course it is available on PC. That is true, but you're able to get it on the cloud and also on Xbox. How many people are going to go out there and get a PlayStation? It's going to hurt their brand. You know, it's going to hurt them. Just like it's been hurting Xbox. All this generation, their sales have been down when it comes to their console. But I gotta move on for the sake of time, though, Crimson. Let me get on into your third. Looks like this is your third and final email because I gotta get ready to go to work. But the title of the email is number 3. Tell you, this brother made a trilogy. He says, I have the time now. He says, in parentheses, look, I get none of these companies are perfect. Do you know what I'm tired of? He says, people mistaking anti-consumer practices as competition. For longer than Xbox has been around, Sony has done this consistently and systematically, paid devs and publishers to keep their games off of rival consoles. How is this okay? How is this okay with you and anyone else? How's it still okay if your brand is considered the market leader? I'm going to tell you, it's competition, brother. It goes back to competition. Are these anti-consumer practices? Someone could say that, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as a situation where they're making their brand the brand that you want to go to. I mean, it's like I say, you got to bring value to your company in order to get people to buy in. You got to have something that stands out. If you have the same things as everybody else, then why should I mess with your brand? Why should I go with your brand? Why should I even look your brand's way if you're not doing anything different than the competition? So to me, no, I don't see it as a bad thing. They're going out there and they're getting these different games. They're doing these deals with these publishers and making sure that it doesn't go to any other console. No, like I was saying in your last email, it's no different than what Nintendo does. Nintendo has been doing it. Matter of fact, we might have to shout Nintendo out for these practices because they were doing this way back in the NES days. But let me continue on though, brother. I gotta kind of keep moving forward. He says, in my opinion, Game Pass is not that at all. When I can still buy and play all the games everywhere. Heck, I can still buy them in parentheses as I do, even if I have Game Pass and at a discount to boot. I buy all my favorite games that have replayability. I get way beyond my money's worth. Did you know I still spend the same amount of money? Yet somehow I own more games than ever before. No longer do I waste my hard-earned money on falsely advertised games because I had to buy it. Why is that such a problem for some? Listen, it's not a problem. The way it's the execution, now granted, you said the Game Pass, you know, with the discount, being able to play these games, you know, before you actually buy them. Then you buy these games. You only buy the games that actually appeal to you. It's the play before you buy model, kind of. So, I mean, well, I guess it is zero wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. That you can still buy the games inside of Game Pass. I don't have a problem with Game Pass let me see. I kind of do have a problem with Game Pass to a certain degree because I am under this is where my problem lies in Game Pass. I don't think that they're making games to the highest extent of what they would be able to. I think that their games are to a certain degree limited with the budgets that they're able to have. I mean, you look at something like H-Blade 2, when that came out, 5 hours or 6 hours, beautiful looking game, but wasn't a long game. You have games like Starfield that come out. Then you have the zombie game or whatever, the 4-player co-op game. Well, I'm not going to put that in the same sentence with Starfield, totally different, but you can see like a pattern. The games that they've been coming out with, Crimson Phoenix, since they've had this Game Pass model, and they don't seem to really be towing the mark. And I don't know if they're getting that same budget as they would get if these games were being sold separately outside of a service. Now, I get it. Granted, you can go out and buy these games at $70. I am with you on that, my brother. But if you have your games in a service and you know that it's a possibility that most people are going to just sign up and play the games through the service, are you going to put as many resources and as much money into that game as you would if you were going to be selling it only at full price, not ever giving a discount inside of Game Pass, not having somebody pay $25 just for a month to play the game? Are you giving it your all when it comes to these games being in Game Pass? And that's the problem that I have with them when it comes to their Game Pass model. But let me finish up, brother, because I'm running low on time. He says, did you hear that Xbox is 91% digital? Yeah, I did hear that for sure. I don't like it, my brother. But he says 91% digital on purchases. Yeah, I guess that means physical is in fact dying. It hurts my gaming soul. He says, well, I'm saying that. I want to make it clear. Crimson did not say it's hurting his gaming soul, but it is hurting mine. He says more money to the devs than no harm in that, because they didn't have to print the disc and ship to stores and pay retail instead of raising prices. LOL. That's the thing. Man, I feel kind of slighted on that, though. I can't hold you on that one, my brother. I mean, here it is. These games are being digitally distributed, and you're still charging the same price. I don't have a booklet. I don't have a disc. I don't have, front cover art. This physical. I've always had a bit of a problem with that situation. Because games, I always have been under the mindset that if it's a digital game, that game should be $10 to $15 cheaper than the physical game, because you are not having to put the same resources on selling that game versus the digital game. You're just selling a code pretty much. And of course, the game at the end of the day, not all of the other bells and whistles that come along with it. Now, granted, we could all say that lately they ain't been giving no booklets and all of that stuff either, but you know, with the physical games, but it is what it is. But let me finish on with your email. He says, more money in the devs, no harm in that. He says, because they didn't have to print. Oh, I read that. He says, I'll never buy a digital game on the Sony platform because they've been unclear as to their future plans, where Xbox has backwards compatibility in their future roadmap. I mean, that's fair. I mean, look, you gotta pick your poison. If as long as I can buy physical games, I'm buying them on all platforms. You know, even though I don't have a Series X, to be fair, but on PlayStation, you doggone right, I'm with you 100%. I want the physical copy, because I told you guys about the situation where I had the trouble with Infamous over on the digital side of things, saying I didn't have the license and all. It was a mess. But anyway, I digress for the sake of time, my brother. He says, I say all this to say I'm on a holiday with a lot on my mind and the time to write in. So you're on notice. LOL. Make it make sense. LOL, shaking my head. Peace. I want to say shout out to you, Crimson Phoenix. And also, well, wait a minute. Yeah, Cody, I read this email, man. Well, I didn't read it here, but Cody wrote in just really quickly, and I'm kind of, just trying to rush through because I really gotta go. But and I know y'all probably said, well, go then, just get on and go. But I want to finish out the show though, really quickly. Cody wrote in and said, Firewalk Studios releases statement on closure insider gaming. And we had went over this on the podcast, but let's read it here. This was the statement from Firewalk. It says, quote, Firewalk is signing off one last time. Firewalk began with the idea of bringing the joy of multiplayer to a larger audience. We took some risks along the way, marrying aspects of card battlers and fighting games with first-person shooters. And although some of these and other aspects of the IP didn't land as we hoped, the idea of putting new things into the world is critical to pushing the medium forward. I'll say end of quote right there. That wasn't the full statement, but we get the gist of it. Yeah, they were let go. They were shut down, dismantled. No longer around. I mean, the one thing that Sony did do when it comes to that studio is, even though the studio is shut down, they are still going to have some of the guys from the team stay around. I believe it was a staff of 172. I'm going to look it up. It was a staff of 172. And out of that 172, we don't know how many are going to be still inside of PlayStation working with different studios, whether it's Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, Polyphony, whoever. We don't know how many, but not all of them are losing their jobs. And this is just an unfortunate situation that has happened with them, especially since, to a certain degree, you could blame Sony for this a little, not even a little bit. You can blame them because they pushed for this. They wanted these kind of games, the gas games, and then the game releases and 2 weeks later it's off the shelf. You can't buy it. They refunded the money. You could say that they might have pulled the plug early, or you can look at it from the perspective of this was a good business move because they saw that the community was not messing with this game. And why continue to put resources on a game that the community is not going to get behind? Why keep spending the money? That didn't even make sense. Why would you keep spending the money on something that is not going to get you any return on the investment? So I kind of look at it from that standpoint. To a certain degree, again, they set them up for failure because this was not a game that the PlayStation fans wanted. They kind of had me a little interested because they said it was going to be some kind of storyline happening every month or every week or something like that, some cinematic cutscenes or whatever. It kind of had me a little slightly interested, but it just didn't work out for him. But Cody, I want to thank you for this email and thank you for the other emails, and you too, Crimson Phoenix, brother. It is always a pleasure. I mean this to both of you brothers. It is always a pleasure that y'all write in. It's never taken for granted. I truly, truly appreciate it. I'm sorry that I kind of have to rush through this episode, and I do apologize, excuse me, to you two brothers for having y'all wait so long, but I've just been kind of under the gun lately. Nothing bad. It's just work related. Work is, crazy, but I'm grateful to have a job. But again, thank you two brothers for writing in. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank y'all. Also, before we get out of here, let me shout out Glove Box Gaming. Man, I had such a fantastic conversation with this good brother. Man, I'm saying everybody else, Crimson Phoenix, then I'm saying Cody Clark, but Glove Box. I appreciated the conversation we had, my brother, and it was great. Be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel as well, Glove Box Gaming. He has a great YouTube channel. I saw him playing God of War Ragnarok, reliving some of the stuff that happened. It was fantastic. So again, shout out to you too, Glove Box. So with that being said, before we sign off on this episode, again, thank you guys for being here. And if you do want to be a part of the next listener feedback, remember, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-627-9087 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show. And the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I was your host, Keon Mitchell, and as always, get out there and play some games and enjoy yourself. Until next time, you guys take care.